The modern American lexicon often conflates the terms freedom and liberty, although there's very important distinctions between the two. In 1964, in front of the Republican National Convention, Ronald Reagan stated that freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. However, freedom in this sense, from Ronald Reagan, is actually more in line with the term liberty rather than freedom. And we'll get into that a little more in here in a second. Freedom basically is an internal state. It is synonymous with natural rights, God-given rights, and more closely relates to Berlin's terminology or idea of positive freedom. Viktor Frankl, who survived the Holocaust, wrote in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, that everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. This, of course, is very relevant to Viktor Frankl as a Holocaust survivor, as all of his liberty was basically taken away from him. But that freedom, that internal ability to choose, was never taken from him, which is very important. Basically, freedom exists regardless of the political sphere within which one presides. Liberty, on the other hand, is an external state. It is human given, or given by government, and largely relates more to Berlin's idea of negative freedom. Edmund Burke talked frequently about liberty, often in a negative aspect when regarding the French Revolution and their idea of liberty, which is again very different than the traditional English idea of liberty. But Edmund Burke included in his ideas of liberty the importance of self-constraint, limiting oneself, abiding with integrity and within a given set of morals as being necessary to any state of liberty given by the government or society. From Edmund Burke, in his letter to the Mons Dupont, who was a French friend, he says, "The liberty I mean is social freedom. It is that state of things in which liberty is secured by the equality of restraint, a constitution of things in which the liberty of no one man, and no body of men, and no number of men can find means to trespass on the liberty of another person, or any description of persons in the society. This kind of liberty is, indeed, but another name for justice." And what Edmund Burke was getting at here is that, again, liberty has to reside within personal and societal restraints. Hence, the idea that government can restrict individual liberties in order for the whole society to succeed. Isaiah Berlin kind of summed up what could happen if these ideas are neglected in his when he I tried to identify the differences between the two sets of what he called liberties. Even though it's important to note that Isaiah Berlin often used liberty and freedom interchangeably by his own admission. However, Berlin, in closing here, says, "When ideas are neglected by those trained to think critically about ideas, that is to say, those who have been trained to think critically about ideas, they sometimes acquire an unchecked momentum and an irresistible power over multitudes of men that may grow too violent to be affected by rational criticism." And what Berlin is highlighting here is the potential state when those individual freedoms are taken at the expense of liberties for the whole.